get started with our first guest. And our first guest is Miss Orlando Petite for 2026 and 2027. Everybody, let's give some virtual love to Miss
Hello.
Deja.
Hi. Hi, everybody. I'm so
So,
glad to be here.
Deja, oh, thank you. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thanks
We were
for
supposed to
having
do
me.
this last year, and we're
Yeah.
just now getting to it. So, I'm glad that we were able to finally connect. So I'm going to start with this question, Deja. What inspired you to pursue modeling and how did your journey begin?
Okay, so first off, I've always wanted to model since I was 9 years old. When I saw Tyra Banks in the Life Size movie, I just wanted to be just like her when I grew up, and she's still a legend to me and my hero no matter what anyone says about her. Um, so I did some modeling as a child in local fashion shows, and later from ages 19 to 23, I modeled semi-professionally as a petite model. Um, so I took a long hiatus from modeling and I started back in July of 2023. During that hiatus, I lost a part of myself. And my a lot of me changed, like my lifestyle changed, my personality and my body changed, and I became a plus size model.
Mm,
Um, so I noticed when I started back that designers were a lot nicer to me. I feel like designers were a lot stricter with me when I was thinner.
mm,
But I feel like, they're a lot more, I don't know how to put it. Like I guess they're a lot more welcoming and they embrace you more when they know you're a plus size model because it's like they're not saying, "Oh, well, this is too big or this is too much." And so I actually started back in 2023 because I was on a journey to heal my inner child and rediscover myself and memories from my
mm,
past. Surrounding myself with like such amazing women like Zelda, Adina, Amanda Sive, and many others. It's inspired me to create a bucket list of things that I have to achieve during my modeling journey, such as New York Fashion Week and other fashion weeks. And I actually did New York Fashion Week for the first time in February of 2025. And I must say, you know, I'm long from finished with my bucket list. But anyway, so I went from rediscovering myself to and relearning how to walk in heels to blossoming into pageantry and surprising myself with my own accomplishments. So not only am I Miss Orlando Petite 2026, but I was also first runner-up for Miss Florida Petite for this year, 2026. And honestly, I feel like I have a long way to go, but I must say, not being afraid of failure and not being afraid of rejection is really what helped me to have the
mm.
courage to just, pursue the things that I'm pursuing now.
Wow,
That's
that is an
awesome.
amazing
Yeah,
story.
that's awesome.
And to hear you
Thank you.
say that you feel like being plus, like the designers, like they be nicer to you, that's really interesting to hear. So, have there been any challenges? Like, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced so far being a plus size model?
Well, I would say it's more of an internal challenge than anything.
Mm,
Um, I haven't tried to model professionally. Actually, I did. There's always because of I feel like the times have changed with like inclusivity for plus size models. Like whatever I enter, there's always like a plus size division. I don't tend to enter spaces that don't welcome plus sizes.
okay.
So it's like they know I'm plus size, they expect that, and there's a place for me.
Mm,
The agency that I was once in, they had a plus size division, and so it was just very natural for me.
mhm,
Um, it's more of an internal thing because I mean, being thinner, being a more petite model when I was in my early 20s and late teens, I would like to be that size again. But I realized that, we can't like we all have different genetics. We all have different seasons that our bodies go through in life. As
mhm,
women, when we have children, like, things change with our bodies and we can't we can't all, remain thin forever. Although it is a goal of mine. So it's more internal. Nothing, I haven't really faced any professional challenges because maybe I haven't gone for anything that doesn't include my size. Like I just don't apply.
Okay. And that's a very good point that you're sharing. And so I want to reiterate that to those that are watching because that's something that I do teach as well when I'm working with different models. I also talk a little bit about that in my book as well. But it's very important to understand your niche and understand where you fit in this industry, like she says, because if you don't, then you'll be trying to like go to castings and you don't really fit what they're looking for, and then when you get rejected, then you're devastated because you're like, oh my god, I'm not good enough, or nobody really likes me. And that's not necessarily the case. It's just that you're not, like she said, you're not going after those places or trying to get into those spaces where they welcome people that look like you, or welcome people that are looking for what you have. So I'm so glad that you shared that, Deja. That was a very good point. Um, and you said, okay, it's more of an internal battle. So knowing that it's more of an internal struggle, how do you maintain like your confidence and your self-love in an industry like this?
Well, I must say that being in this industry really helps me. Like, I mean, my confidence really has been boosted just from, doing all of these modeling gigs, both local and non-local. Um, yeah, I'm really glad that, major brands such as, Victoria's Secret and others have really opened doors for plus size models. Although they still shut, it seems like they shut the doors to shorter girls like myself. So, I mean, I think that my biggest struggle with modeling would be more my height. Um, but when it comes to like boosting my confidence, I just try to, work on, you know, making sure that I'm healthy, making sure that, I'm improving the parts of myself that need work and that
Hmm.
I'm the best version of myself or I'm becoming a better version of myself every day.
Okay, so Deja, what advice would you give a plus size model that is looking to get into the industry? What advice would you give them?
I would say first off, take classes, like taking
Mm.
courses for modeling and learning your shoe, like learning what works for you. I think that that would really help any model who's trying to get in, both petite or plus size. But also, as a plus size model, always be working to improve yourself. Always be working to improve your craft, whether it's your walk, your posing, your body image, working out, exercising, or eating healthy. If you can't exercise, maybe, you have a sedentary job and you just can't really move around a lot, then just make sure you're doing what you need to do to be the best for a better version of yourself and a healthier version of yourself every day. Um, and also take rejection as a learning lesson.
Mhm.
That's what I do. When I get rejected, like I'm not afraid of failure. Probably because I've been through so much in my lifetime and I've seen a lot of like real failures. So I feel like, failure in the modeling industry is really just a lesson to me, and
Mhm.
it's really all fun and games to me. Um, and I think that not allowing that to hold you back, you would surprise yourself with what you can do.
Mhm.
Um, so definitely, but always start out with classes so that you can actually do well. Like,
Mhm.
don't get out there and you don't know what you're doing because it's very likely, you know, I've seen models of all um, walks of life, whether they're, they're plus size or they're petite or whatever. I've seen them do shows and embarrass themselves because they haven't really done the work on how
Yeah.
to do it properly. So yeah, definitely taking classes, rehearsing is super important.
All right. I was about to say amen, but we're not in
No, for
church.
real. Listen, we're one or two, two or three together. I'm with you,
Mhm.
Missy.
Yeah.
But hey, I love that you said that, and not just because I'm a model coach, but because it's true. Just like with any profession, if you want to be the very best at what you do, you have to invest in yourself and you have to get
Mhm.
that education, you have to get that training. And it's the same thing for being a model. You know, people think
Mhm.
that it's just about looking pretty. No, no, there's a skill to posing. There's a technique to walking on that runway. If you want to get into commercial, you need to learn how to do improv. You need to learn how to do a little bit of acting. You need to
Mhm.
learn how to use your voice, take some vocal lessons, do something. But yeah, training and education is so important. So, Deja, how can people get in contact with you, girl?
Well, my Instagram is DAISHIA.O and the number two. And then my Facebook is DEJA space Serenity, SERENITY. So those are two of the best ways that you can contact me. And if you want any other contact information, send me a message and I can, we can talk.
All
And
right.
that's about it. Oh, and my TikTok. So my TikTok is also my first name DAISHIA space O for my last initial. And that's if you look that up, you'll see my page on TikTok as well.
All right, Cammy, tell the people a little bit about yourself and why you decided to get into modeling.
So, good evening, everybody. My name is Camille Royal. I do go by Cammy. You can call me Camille. You can call me Cammy. Either way, I'll answer. I am originally from Deerfield Beach, Florida, which is in Broward County, which is in South Florida. I currently reside in Orlando, Florida. Um, first and foremost, I am a believer of Jesus Christ. So let's go ahead and put that out there. We love the Lord, and He is my Lord and personal Savior. Um, my modeling career or my modeling journey actually began in 20 2022. I had just moved to Orlando in 2019. And I, when I was a little girl, I was always told that I should do modeling, but I accepted the compliment, with the compliments, because there were several. And I actually was in the talent show where I was a model. And I just loved the camera flashes and just like striking poses and just receiving the feedback from the audience. It was a very, I don't know, very powerful feeling at a young age. But like I said, I never really did anything with it. Even, into my adulthood, I would be asked, "Hey, are you a model? Have you ever thought about modeling?" And again, I never really done anything with it. And so it was back in I want to say it was 2022. I met one of my model friends. Her name is Kiara Ruffin at a fashion show.
Kiara.
Yeah. I met her at a fashion show. And so I didn't know her. She didn't know me, but somehow we started conversing. And before the end of the night, we took a picture together. And from there, she introduced me to our hostess with the mostest, model coach Z Lynette Zelda Polk. And from there, I had a very warm introduction of what I could expect. And Miss Zelda also asked me, what is it that I'm looking for to do? It was a very good setup to get started with modeling. So, Ms. Zelda, I could never thank you enough. And with that, I, Deja said, I started doing classes with the one and only Adina Kajoy.
Yes, I
And
do that.
my model mentor, Gina Lachey, along with later on Oleka Red, I think that's her last name.
Hmm.
um, but I say all that to say that's where it started. Now, I want to say the last 2 years I haven't been as active.
Hmm.
However, I'm still within the mix, along with having the sisterhood and the model community that I do. I'm always in the loop. And so just kind of like having that community there, I'm still connected. And I say all that to say, Although my modeling journey began in 2022, it kind of took off. I booked photo shoots. I had the opportunity to participate in a couple of runway shows as well. And if I had to pick, speaking of, the different niches, knowing your niche, knowing what type of model, I would say commercial model. And as you mentioned,
Mhm.
Ms. Zelda, um, it's good to work on things such as projecting your voice, um, working on improvisation, and that those are things that I actually enjoy and that I've actually learned. Just like randomly talking to people, that this is something that I'm good at. So it's good to kind of hone in on your strengths and kind of
Mhm.
see where they can fit. But back to the question that you posed. My decision to become a model honestly came from several factors.
Mm.
Ultimately, a huge part of my journey comes from not comes from, but a huge part of my journey um, really really stems from learning what confidence is. If I'm just being completely transparent, learning
Mm.
what confidence is, learning how to really embody what confidence is. And not only that, but taking up the space that you are in, taking up the space that I am in.
Mhm.
And the greater extension of that is being that example to other people, showing them, teaching them, empowering them to know what confidence is and how to take up the space that they are in. And
Mhm.
quite honestly, within the last year or two, I would say my why has definitely changed. And I say that because I've grown. I'm not trying to get super spiritual here. However, that is a lifestyle, so it ties into everything that I do.
Mhm.
But I do believe that this platform will be used for a greater purpose than just me. And
Mhm.
so that kind of goes to, those who may gravitate towards you, whether it be confidence, whether it be the way you carry yourself, the
Mhm.
graciousness that you have as a model. So there are, to answer your question, a couple different factors as to what led me to modeling and to where I am now.
Mhm. Wow, that's awesome. And I can relate to that as well because before I got into modeling, I was heavily involved in ministry. And then life happened. A whole lot of life happened. Okay. And in the midst of that happening, I'll be honest, I left the church, but I never left God.
Mhm,
And during that time that I had left the church, you would think, or the average person would think, oh, she's backsliding. Oh, she don't went into darkness and all this kind of stuff. But it was the exact opposite.
mhm,
I got into modeling and God used modeling, similar to like your story, to help me build my confidence again. And it connected me to people that just gave me so much life and just ministered to me in such a way that I probably would not have gotten if I would have just stayed in the four walls of the church. So he pulled me out, put me in modeling, a platform that you would never think could be used for ministry, and it did. It did. And
yes.
so it helped to build me back up. And then just like you, like my why kind of changed as well. And so now through this platform, I'm still ministering and I'm reaching people that I probably would not have reached if I was just stuck in the four walls of the church. So I can understand that, God uses, like the Bible says, he takes the foolish things to confine the wise. So it modeling may seem foolish to people on the outside that are looking in from the church, but God can definitely move in that platform. So while we're talking about that, have you experienced any type of like rejection or pressure or anything negative since you have been a part of the modeling industry as a plus size?
So honestly, I have not actually, yes. I have applied to an agency before,
Mm,
and I was not a good fit for that agency. And so, of course, who likes rejection? Nobody likes rejection. Nobody likes being told no. And the
mhm,
humanistic feeling that comes out of that, you automatically like, oh no, what am I lacking? What did I not do? What's wrong? And so I believe what you can what you can gain from that particular experience
mhm,
is, okay, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Also, what can you learn from this particular situation? What can you learn from this no? And I
mhm,
cannot remember who it was. I want to say it was my model sister Jada Bowman. Um this was a while ago, and she made a Facebook post, and I believe she used the acronym NO as in next opportunity. So it's not necessarily saying no, like you don't have what it takes. No, when one door closes, another one opens. And it could
mhm,
be that it's not you. It's
mhm,
not you. It's just maybe they're looking for a certain thing, or
mhm,
a certain they're trying to execute a certain concept, and you
mhm,
just don't have that one. But there is, there can be another place for you. And like you opened up, Miss Z, you create your own lane as you go.
mhm,
So I have not experienced a high level of rejection,
mhm,
um, but I have submitted to an agency and was declined. And
mhm.
I'm not gonna lie to you, that was my first one. So the first one was like, oh my gosh, like, because it's like I
Yeah.
didn't got up the guts to do this, and then I got rejected. Like,
Mhm,
it is, as a human being, like I said, it can be discouraging. But what I can encourage aspiring models, and even, as I'm speaking to myself or reminding myself that there's still a place for you.
yeah.
It's okay to feel.
Mhm,
It's okay to, yeah, it's okay to feel, period.
mhm,
However, don't stay there, because there are more opportunities that you can definitely take advantage of.
mhm.
And that's kind of how you keep the ball rolling. Because if you stay stuck, then there's nowhere to go. But
Yeah.
I definitely encourage those who have experienced rejection. Like Jada said, don't not Jada. Deja said, not to necessarily fear it,
Mhm,
but to just take it as, a learning curve. And my mom actually just reminded me of that the other day. So
mhm.
this is something that's kind of like an ongoing thing, and it doesn't necessarily have to be with modeling, but it's definitely a life skill.
So, Cami, tell us this. Do you feel like there's any type of like misconceptions or things that people may think about plus size modeling that is not necessarily the case, being that you've done it for a little bit now?
Um, Again, I'm still kind of, I consider myself still kind of new to this industry, so I haven't really experienced a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
But what I will say is, I do think that sometimes plus size models can be restricted as far as like what campaigns or what types of modeling or concepts plus size models can actually do. For example, um, the high fashion shows.
Mm-hmm.
Most times you see certain silhouettes, you don't really see plus size models on those type of runways. And
Mm-hmm.
I would absolutely love to see that. I do believe that it's not one size fit all. I do believe that if you have
Mm-hmm.
um willing parties to come together to collaborate to fulfill a vision, you have the designer, you have or a photographer, that has this concept that he or she wants to do. If you have a plus size model who's willing and who sees the vision, that look, that concept, it can be executed. And sometimes I do think that sometimes assumptions are made, saying that, oh, this is the look wouldn't be perfectly executed if this person was full figured versus a person who had maybe perhaps a smaller silhouette. You get what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
do believe that there are some misconceptions. That's the first one that really comes to mind, that sticks out to me, because I look at different types of I keep using the word campaign, or different types of representation even.
Yeah.
You see most plus size models with like Macy's and Ashley Stewart and Lane Bryant when they were, you know, really out there. But plus size models are capable of doing, you know, things that doesn't necessarily have in a separate category for plus size
For
models.
sharing that.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
Cammy, how can people get in contact with you?
So my Instagram name is, well, handle is CAMIE_ELLE. And then my Facebook name is CAMII, and my last name is Royal, ROYAL.
This has been a great conversation, and I wish you all the best to each of you as you continue on your different journeys. Please continue to let me know what's going on. If I can support, be there, you know I will. And to everyone that's watching, thank you so much for watching us. If you are
Thank
catching the
you.
replay, thank you for watching. And this concludes this episode of Behind the Model, Real Models, Real Stories. I'm going to be back next month with episode 3. I don't know who my guests are going to be, but if you want to be a guest, you can contact me and we can possibly make that happen. All right. So until next time, live your life because you only have one life to live. Good night and thank you for watching.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks for having us.
Yes,
You're
thank you for the
welcome.
opportunity.